I really don't have a Valentine story, but I have a real story because we have such a beautiful ballroom here at St. Luke's, and there's the only other ballroom that I can think of that's better than this is the Aragon Ballroom in Chicago. Is anybody here from Chicago? Yeah. Have you guys heard about the Aragon Ballroom? Okay. The Aragon Ballroom is about 5 times the size of this ballroom right here. And speaking of ballrooms, a ballroom is an ideal place for two hearts to come together, just like on Valentine's Day, Donna. And when your lips touch her lips on the dance floor, I can assure you sparks will fly. And Monsignor Timothy has no objection as long as your wife. And like Jesus says, husbands love your wives and wives love your husbands. And that's what the High Society Orchestra is planning to do tonight, to bring together some hearts with their music. And they're certainly doing a great job. So the story that I'm going to tell you tonight, right now, happened at the Aragon Ballroom in Chicago. And it's a story about the little blonde who really was not blonde after all. The story goes back to the Aragon Ballroom about 1949, and 3 ex-GIs went to the ballroom to dance, and 2 sailors and an Air Force fellow. And they got up to the Aragon Ballroom, and a big bouncer says, "Hey, where are you guys going?" They said, "We're going to get some girls." So anyway, they got the 2 girls. The big bouncer says, "When you hear 2 chimes go off, that means the dancing starts in 5 minutes." And he says, "When you hear one gong, the dancing starts in 1 minute." So Shrimpy and Dutch and Fred decided we better pick our girls right now. And the first chime went off, two bells went off, and then pretty soon the final bell went off, and this little fellow, Shrimpy, that's me, he says, "I get dibs on a little blonde." And so he goes up to the little blonde and he clicks his heels like a military general and bows to her. And "Could I have this dance?" That's really the story. Could I have this dance? And that's what we're dancing about here tonight with our sweethearts. And Shrimpy guided her out to the dance floor, and they began to dance. And he says to this pretty little blonde, "I like your dancing. You're very light on your feet." And she says, "I like your dancing too." And then Shrimpy says to the pretty little blonde, "I like your blonde hair." And she says, "Well, I like your pompadour." And he had a big pompadour long before anybody ever heard of Elvis Presley. That was in 1949. And then Blondie says, "Well, I'm really not a blonde. I'm a brunette." And Shrimpy says, "What? You're a brunette? How can you be a brunette? I see blonde." She says, "Well, I'm a beautician, and I'm advertising my business. I have owned my own beauty shop for 18 years. And Shrimpy, he was flabbergasted. "Wow, what a girl." So Shrimpy asked Blondie, "Would you like to go up and get a glass of champagne up in the balcony?" And the Aragon Ballroom has a great big balcony. You get anything from champagne to soda up there. So they go up to the balcony. And the guys are waiting to get their drinks. Lori, come up. And the guys go to get the drinks for the girls. And there's about a 15-minute delay before they get the drinks. So the girls dash off to the cloakroom. And they get a blue scarf or they get a red scarf. And the blue scarf means the girl is not taken. Any of the guys can have her. And the red scarf means he's taken. And the red scarf means, go ahead. The red scarf means he's taken. And it means warning to all the other girls. Hands off, he's mine. And then Shrimpy asked Blondie, "Do you like to do anything besides dancing?" And she says, "Yeah, I like to do horseback riding. I got horseback riding when I was 14 years old." And she says, "I like to swim, and I like to fish." So he says, "Do you like to go fishing with me on Sunday?" And she said, "Oh, no, I got to go to church." And Shrimpy says, "Where do you go to church?" And she says, "I go to St. Priscilla's on Edison Avenue." And I said, "Golly, I'm Catholic too. I go to St. Joseph on Fullerton Avenue." Anybody know where Fullerton Avenue is? There's one lady knows where Fullerton Avenue is, so you know I'm telling you the truth. Okay. Anyway, the little girl puts her red scarf around the guy. She says, "That's for me." And so he brings the drinks to the girl, and this pretty little blonde says, "I'd really like to go Sunday morning with you, but I got to go to church." And Shrimpy asked, he looked at this girl, and he says, "Boy, with all her athletic background and her dancing, and she's such a pretty blonde, she's got a lot of attributes, and she is really a bonus. She's a business lady." And at that time, the Les Brown Band, which is a popular band in Chicago, began to play that song, "Could I Have This Dance?" And Blondie said, "Yes, yes, yes." And Shrimpy slipped the engagement ring on her left hand at that moment, and she let out a whoop, and they began to dance. And they never stopped dancing for the rest of the night. And Shrimpy says, "Could I have this dance?" And she says, "Yes." And she gave him a great big kiss right on the dance floor. And everybody stopped dancing and gave a big applause. And boy, look at that, two lovers really falling in love. And the standard protocol at the Aragon Ballroom, if some of you remember, is when a girl gets a ring on a dance floor, the band stops playing the song they're playing, and they play another song called "Happy Times Are Here Again." And the thing is, they play it to a polka beat, though. "Happy Times Are Here Again" is a good song, but do you ever hear it to a polka beat? And everybody goes to a polka beat, and they tear the daylights out of the dance floor. So they dance 3 days a week, Shrimpy and the little blonde, and they danced 3 days a week for 4 months. And finally, after 4 months, they finally got married on January 6th, 1950. And I'd like to introduce you to the little blonde, who was not blonde, Lori. And if you think this story is a lot of baloney, I got a picture of the little blonde right here. And you can come up and look at it right at the piano. And you can see my Shrimpy's pompadours right here. And she's a very pretty blonde little girl. But she changed her color. And that's the story.
Thank you, Matt, for that very charming love story.
Okay, folks, come on, it's beautiful out.
Once again, could I have this dance? Thank you very much. The band's going to take a short break. And when we come back, we've got more great music. So don't you dare leave us.